Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. I wanted to come in right now because I just saw this thing with Kevin Hart. Apparently, Kevin Hart had a show in Egypt canceled because he was being a little too black and a little too intelligent. And I'm gonna tell you, I have a lot to say about this. Apparently, the people that were organizing the show in Egypt didn't like the idea of Kevin identifying Egyptians as black people. How radical is that? How crazy is that? So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Now, before I get to this topic, I'm going to talk about Kevin Hart and what happened with Egypt. Apparently, Kevin Hart had a show in Egypt that got kind of canceled and very canceled. And I wanted to kind of break some of this down. But before we get started, can you guys, I'm on the road as usual, and I want to do a quick audio sound check. So can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Just set up my microphone. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me all right and you can see me okay. I know it's a different kind of background. Pretty soon I'll be back home. I got to be back home. I've been on the road too much, but I want to make sure I'm coming through okay. So if you could give me a yes to let me know you can hear me, that would be really cool. Then we can kind of get started with the show. All right. Okay. So thank you, Brian Phillips and Herb Weaver. I'm sorry, Raqueens, Ruby Betts, good to see you, Teresa Ramsey, and Victoria Parker, Aretha G. Clark Ministries. I see you, Aretha G. Clark Ministries. God bless you. And Janice Langston and Issa Garsleb, is that say it right? Jonathan Roberts and David Butler. Good to see you. All right. So hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. All right. So let me just kind of let you guys know why I'm doing this conversation at this time. Because I saw it and I said, okay, this is something worth talking about. So apparently Kevin Hart, according to Black Enterprise, had a show that was canceled in Egypt because he committed the heinous act of actually saying that Egyptians are black people. He actually connected Egyptians to us, and Lord knows you don't want to be associated with us, right? And this is interesting. So let me read some of this to you. According to Black Enterprise, shout out to Black Enterprise for reporting on the story. They say comedian Kevin Hart was scheduled to take the stage in Cairo on February 21st, but due to local logistical issues, the performance was canceled. According to AI Al Monitor, although the reason given for the cancellation was due to logistical issues, many feel those issues were related to Egyptians being upset that Hart allegedly stated in the past that Egyptians were black. Our productions released a statement via their social media accounts announcing the cancellation of Hart's performance. Quote, it is with a heavy heart that we share with you, due to logistical issues, the cancellation of our Kevin Hart event scheduled for February 21st in Cairo. You have always shown us continuous support in all of our events, and for that we're grateful, blah, 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 blah. In the meantime, we ask for your patience, blah, blah, blah. It is our dream to create the best experience for all of our clients and ensure that Egypt is placed on the international map of the highest possible standards. Yeah. Okay. So the news outlet reported that the comedian faced backlash for the aforementioned comments he supposedly said on the racial composition of ancient Egyptians. Here's what Kevin said. Kevin said, the statement he said, we must teach our children the true history of black Africans when they were kings in Egypt, and not just the era of slavery that is cemented by education in America. Do you remember the time when we were kings? First off, can we take a moment? Because I know we let celebrities know when they're messing up. So I think it's okay for us to let them know when they acting right, when they're being extra black. Can we just kind of clap for Kevin and say thank you for making that statement? How many of you know? Give me a yes if you understand that you probably have no business whatsoever letting the white people who run your school system teach you black history. You do understand that, right? Give me a yes if you understand how dangerous it is, how backward we become, how screwed up our brains have become, how brainwashed we get when we're letting people teach us our history that don't even know our history, don't even want to tell us the truth, don't even want us to know anything about when we were powerful. They want us to know that we should be grateful that they decided to give us voting rights so we can all line up and go vote for Joe Biden and buy white consumer products and go work for white people and go into student loan debt so you get trapped into the capitalist machine, right? Do y'all understand that? Give me a yes if you get this, if you understand the trap that is called so-called false Black history that's taught in the public schools. Okay, so the danger, right, is you shouldn't be letting other people teach your own history. I don't believe the Jewish community at any point has ever fought to allow non-Jewish people to teach them in Hebrew school. So Black people should not be begging other people to teach you history that you can teach yourselves. There are plenty of teachers out here that will never be invited to your child's school because they're too dangerous, but they are the most effective history teachers out here. People like Dr. Claude Anderson, and there are many, many others out here my brother, Professor James Small, he's a great one. There's so many. Is it Tony Browder, Anthony Browder, right? These are the people that should be teaching your kids history, not Miss Wilson from the suburbs, who only knows about Martin Luther King, right? Okay, so that's the first thing, and then uses the word peace every time they say Dr. King. They say, well, he was a man of peace. He was a man of peace, right? Well, y'all never been about peace. So that's the first thing, right? We know this is true, and I'm really happy that Kevin said what he said. I think Kevin is 100% correct. There was a time that most of our history did not include slavery. Most of our history does not include Jim Crow and the Deep South and Dixie and civil rights movements and all that. There was a whole history before that. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second part of it is that Marcus Klein, yeah, shout out to Marcus Klein. Oh my goodness, he runs Freedom Home Academy International. If you ever want to see one of the most amazing Black-owned schools on this planet, go to Chicago. Check out Freedom Home Academy International. That is a school. When Kanye West was asking me to find somebody to take over his schools, his Donda academies, which I don't know what he's trying to do with that. First school that came to mind was Freedom Home Academy International. I said the best school I know that is being run that deserves to have $1 billion a year in funding is Freedom Home Academy International. It's a damn shame that we are miseducating children when we have great models that are out here, but nobody's paying attention the way that they should. So shout out to Freedom Home Academy International. I was just in Philadelphia. I met with people who are running the Urban Youth Racing School, who are teaching STEM to kids for free. I mean, just these amazing institutions, and they're not even getting supported. It's crazy. But yet y'all support some raggedy ass public school, with Miss Wilson, the Irish lady that comes from the suburbs and is beating your kids up and jacking them up, getting them ready for prison. But you won't support the schools that are run by people who are smart, who love these kids. That's crazy. We got to stop that. That's slave-like behavior. All right. So anyway, as I move forward, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe. You're watching drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. We are on Spotify. You look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify or Apple. You can listen to it in your car. Also, I will be in Los Angeles in March for the Black Wealth Boot Camp. So if you'd like to join us for 2 days in March, we're going to do a 2-day deep dive intensive on my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com if you want to check that out. Okay, so with Kevin Hart, here's the thing about Kevin that's interesting, though. Kevin's in trouble. He's in big trouble. Kevin, man, I hope that you have continued to make the boss moves you're making. I think that Kevin is a great businessman as far as Hollywood guys go. I think that Kevin understands the power of his opportunities. I think Kevin understands a lot more than you think. But Kevin's in trouble. And the reason I think he's in trouble is this. There's no greater threat to society than an intelligent and powerful Black man who is also not afraid of white people. Right now, I'm not saying Kevin's not afraid of white people. I don't know. Hollywood's run by a lot of people that, don't really have our interests at heart. But I'm seeing Kevin really evolve in a way where he's moving more into that Dave Chappelle-ish kind of space. And I think he has the potential to even be stronger at it than Chappelle. Because when I watched Kevin's documentary, I got a sense that he's an empire builder, that he's building legacy. He understands legacy. He's building wealth. He's building power. He's developing infrastructure. He's kind of doing a little bit of what Tyler Perry's been doing, with the Medea thing, right? And I think that's going to be very powerful. And for him to be enlightened enough to start making comments like that, and to be pro-black enough to make those kinds of comments, I think that's extraordinarily good for us. That's a win for us. But the big challenge, though, is it's going to be, I think, a loss for him, because America loves the black man when he's the clown. They love the black man when he's the clown. That's why comedians do so well. That's why clowning ass gangster rappers do so well, because you're sitting in front of a crowd full of white people calling yourself the N word, disrespecting your women, and feeding toxic behavior, death culture to your own people. Of course, they're gonna cheer for that because they want black people dead. But when you start going from being the clown to being the king, and you start really saying things like this, you start being black and intelligent. There's nothing more dangerous than an intelligent black person who's not afraid of white people. So ultimately, I'm not saying Kevin's necessarily all the way on that fence. I'm not defending every single thing Kevin's ever said or everything that Kevin is, because I don't know the man like that. But I think that this comment, I'd be really curious to see how he responds to that. I was really proud of him when they challenged him on a comment that he made where they called him homophobic, and I think he did apologize or something. But then after that he refused to apologize and he walked away from things. When you start having a willingness to walk away from things, that says a lot to me too. That tells me, okay, I get it. You understand the meaning of the word enough. You're not trying to Terry Crews your way through life where you're taking any and everything, no matter how degrading it is. You're able to say, no, I don't need that. I don't need what you got going on over there. Even Will Smith, I give him credit. He's a guy that's like, yeah, okay, I had my biggest night ever at the Oscars, and I decided to, screw it all up by slapping Chris Rock. It's okay. I'm still going to be a billionaire. It's still on track. Everything's still on pace. The rocket ship is still going to hit the stratosphere. I'm going to be good. And I like that. I actually like that, because that's the thing. I think that all of us as black people, one of the things we got to understand is there has to be a point where you can hit the exit ramp. Remember, money's supposed to liberate you. But money, if you don't allow your addiction to money to kind of settle down and get out of your system, then money can actually make you into a bigger slave. So instead of being a $50,000 slave, you become a $50 million slave, and you got a lot of $50 million slaves in the black community. So with Kevin Hart doing this, I like what he did. I think it's great. I approve 100%. In fact, give me a yes. Give me a yes. How many of you all consider Egyptians to be black? How many of you all consider Egyptians to be African? Give me a yes if you consider Egyptians to be, most of them to be black or to be Africans just like you. How many of you take credit for the great things that we did in ancient Egypt? How many of y'all connect yourselves to that? I can tell you, I look at my lineage and I'm mostly Nigerian. I'm about, I forgot what percentage, but it's a big percentage. I got to go look it up again. But but I'm more Nigerian. But you know what? When you talk about Egypt, I'm like, yeah, that was us. We did that. We did that. And it's fascinating to me that you have Egyptians that are so Eurocentrically trained that they disassociate from everything African. They don't even consider themselves to be a part of Africa. No, you African. No, your Egyptian ass is African. Stop it. Stop playing. Okay. Number two, they disassociate themselves from being black, especially African Americans. And now here's what's interesting though. But you were cool with Kevin Hart coming to your country and performing when he was showing up as the clown. You were cool with a black man being in your space if that black African American man was telling you jokes, making you laugh, and serving you. But when he's connecting to you, when he's saying we're the same, you're like, oh no, we're not the same. We're not the same. It's like a man who spent time with a whore, but he don't want the whore to be part of his family. He's not like, no, I don't want my daughter to be like her. I don't want my wife to be like her, but I like her. I like her when she's acting like a hoe, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So then when Kevin Hart is their little hoe, when he is just their little comedian up there telling jokes, making everybody laugh, being the little goofball, a 45-year-old child. They love that. They love it all day. And this is just something that you got to understand, I think, for black men is they love it all day. If you ever want white folks to fall in love with you, racist people to fall in love, I'm not talking about all white people. I'm not talking about, because the Egyptians, again, we're talking about a blend here, right? But if you ever want the world to fall in love with you as a black man, here's what you do. Show up as a little boy, like immature, acting like a little kid. Show up as a little girl, very, very wimpy, feminine, or gay, or whatever. Or show up just as ignorant and backwards, a day late and a dollar short. They will always love you if you are ignorant or feminine or or childlike, right? That's why when I told you guys, I was talking about how the Migos did a video for Sprite or Mountain Dew. and they were all riding tricycles. And I remember thinking, aren't these guys almost 30? Why is a 30-year-old man riding a tricycle? 3 of them. And then we think that this is perfectly normal. No, the goal is to make the black man minimal so that he's less of a threat. But when he shows up in full form and he says, no, I'm just as strong as you. I'm just as powerful as you. I'm more intelligent than you. And I have just as many resources as you. When you're showing up as the king, then you become a threat. So for Kevin Hart, the idea that he's kind of shifting, at least appears to be from this incident. I can't read too much into it, but I see a more Dave Chappelle-ish kind of disposition from Kevin than I see, the little short little clown. Because I think this guy's super short. I think he's like 5'4" or something like that. And I don't know how old he is, but let me see here. How old is Kevin Hart? Kevin Hart is 43 years old. Yep, that's a perfect age. That's about the age where a lot of men start to wake up and realize what this game is all about. That's when they start realizing what entertainment does to black people. That's when they start to realize how these systems are designed to destroy you and keep you backward. And one of the jobs that you guys have, and I hope you will fulfill this, is you got to make sure your children get ahead of that game. You don't want them figuring it out when they're 40 years old. You want them to figure it out when they're 12 or when they're 8, so that they don't spend 30 years getting screwed and getting exploited and being ruined before they realize, hey, wait a minute, somebody screwed me. Don't set your kids up for that. You don't understand what's going on with this. And this is not just black people. This is generally speaking. We're just at the bottom of a capitalist system. So a lot of this system, like even the idea that they convince you that you got to go to college and go $130,000 in debt and then spend the rest of your life trying to work off $130,000 in debt with a $45,000 a year job. Man, you can kiss my whole entire ass with that nonsense. You better get your kids out of that meat grinder, because that's how they lock them into the corporate plantation, because they need workers. They need workers who have nowhere to go. Pimping is easier when your hoes don't have any options. So the question is, are you going to give your children options, or are you going to sign them up for corporate slavery? All right. So shout out to Kevin, man. I'm glad to see that he took a stand on this. I don't know how he feels about it, but everything he said was logical and true. And this is yet another example, in my view, of how a black man can literally say something that's not even that bad, not even that big of a deal, and people freak out. But it's very revealing. Their response is very real, assuming that was why they canceled the show. I believe that was the real reason. I think all that logistical stuff, I think that's BS. And think about this. He's basically saying, you're just like me. And they're like, no, we're not like you. We have nothing in common with African Americans. We have nothing in common with other Africans. We're separate. We're Egyptians, right? So that's maybe a darker version of white supremacy, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the topic. I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. I'm gonna get on out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget Los Angeles, March 10th, the Black Wealth Boot Camp. I'll be there for 2 days, doing deep dive trainings on my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is a blueprint designed such that when you implement this in your family, you will have a wealth creation mechanism that will last for 200 years. I'm going to put you in that position. That's what we're doing. We're meeting each other. We're talking it out. We're going to work it out. We're going to make a plan. That's how you win a war. You win a war with a plan, and when all the soldiers get on deck. So let's get together and make a plan for our families, and we will win. All right, guys. So hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I love you, and I'll see you soon, and have a great night. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.